Hi, welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast. My name is Richie Richie of the MHRT Network. Over that away or that away, depending on which way the mirrors on the cameras decide to flip today on the StreamYard Broadcasting Network here, we have DZ representing his Los Angeles Chargers. And down directly below, doing his best I'm in the woods about to go hunting mock up,
You
LARPing
can't see me on
exercise.
pinpoint.
Yeah, it's you can't see me, Mr. Jack Kenna, representing his Las Vegas Raiders. um, Anyways, Jack, we have some great stuff to talk about, and DZ, we got some great stuff to talk about on today's show. Um, I mean, basically, we're half of the division had a bye week. There was an awful lot of news, like like an awful lot of news. And we're going to cover that and more on today's show. We got some Chargers folks in here. James, thanks for joining the show.
Happy Blackout Wednesday to everybody who celebrate. Supposedly, in the States, this is the busiest bar night of the year.
Is it really?
The day before Thanksgiving. Everybody comes back into town, meets up with all their old friends, and Blackout Wednesday, I guess.
I thought it was Blackout Wednesday for a different reason. People are prepping to have to deal with the family.
But that's probably. I mean, that
was where I thought you were going with it. I'm just saying.
I mean,
But Thanksgiving is actually one of my favorite holidays or kind of family gatherings.
And your guys' is very similar to ours. It's just celebrated in October, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's turkey stuffing,
family, the whole nine.
Family, the whole bit. Yeah.
Nice.
The only thing with us here is it is definitely treated a lot more like a Christmas-esque style holiday there in the US. Like it's still an important holiday here. We still celebrate it. We still have the whole family gathering and everything there, but there isn't this like aura that surrounds Thanksgiving here to the same extent as there is in the States there. Like in the US, like this is family will literally travel across the country.
Yeah.
To be together thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Like that's Christmas here. Christmas is where family goes and does the traveling thing and that sort of thing. You typically don't normally get that here for Thanksgiving.
I wonder if it has to do with you have Black Friday, it's closer to December, but I don't know. Who knows?
Well, and again, the reason for the camo, usually when I was younger, I'd go hunt my own turkeys, but it is a huge holiday. And it's actually my favorite holiday because it's usually a paid day off in the United States for most companies. And again, Black Friday, be around your family, friends. And then, at the same time, what do we got? We got football.
Yeah, man. There you go.
So, I mean, what? You can't get any more perfect than that.
It's almost
I'm glad the NFL started doing Christmas too. So
it's almost like every year they're trying to make November seems like it's getting shorter and shorter because the companies are pushing Christmas earlier, earlier and earlier and earlier. So it's like you're supposed to have that gap between Halloween and Christmas, and November is supposed to be that gap, and they're just like meshing now. It's kind of
It's like as soon as Halloween's over, it's like you're basically skipping Thanksgiving.
Well, the day after Halloween here in Canada, they changed the store over to Christmas.
Yeah, that's essentially what's going on here.
Same thing.
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
I'm not a fan at all.
So, and also, guys, just as an FYI, I don't know what things are going to be like here for me. I am expecting incredibly high winds, like 55 miles an hour in bursts and stuff. And they are calling for about 20 inches of snow, give or take, overnight. Like not right away, but overnight and into tomorrow. And then they're calling for another blast or something like that between Thursday and Friday. So I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the power will go out here or something. So if I just kind of go gone, that's not
all right. If we lose you, we know.
The power. Yeah, I mean, it's not because I don't like you. It's just because the power went out. So
you have a generator, Richie?
No.
No? Okay. You got one of those wood burning stoves?
No.
Oh, okay. Fireplace?
Yeah, I got 4 of them.
Okay, there you go. I just want to make sure, we lose you, and with all that snow, you stay warm.
Well, if you remember last year when last year, I lost power for like 7 days.
Right.
Like completely. Like remember I sent you guys the photos. Like we talked about in the last
Yeah,
podcast.
down trees and everything.
It was like Armageddon. Like as a bomb went off. Like it literally looked like we were under attack. So, but yeah. So just to cover off some of the questions here, any idea on AFC West? I mean, I think it kind of depends. The Chiefs have really done themselves a favor by beating the Colts. That was a real close game. There's a few kind of things in there that I know that got some fans riled up. But Chiefs fans are rightfully, riding high a little bit because that was a critical game for them. It was against a very good team. And so they have some reason for hope, right? They have some reason for hope. And then the question
let's give them
is
hope and snatch it away. Like the last minute, they lose it and they don't.
Now I'm starting to wonder: are the Colts stumbling a bit? Like they just haven't looked right these last few weeks.
I think so. I think they're probably suffering from some fatigue and injuries and stuff like that are probably slowing them down. And then if I had to guess, the league has finally got enough tape on them now. Like they shocked the league coming out with the start that they had to the season, right?
Sure,
people thought the Colts were going to be good. They didn't think they were going to be like top, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's some legit opportunity here where you're going to start seeing the Colts slip a little bit. They have more tape on them. I think you're going to start seeing the Chiefs kind of do a little bit of ebb and flow. And then Chargers, it's going to be a question mark. It's a legitimate. Do you know what? I put the Chargers in the very same camp this coming week as I put the Chiefs in last week, which is, what's actually going to happen here? What is
they're
the
nipping
net
on the
result?
hills right now, on the heels of the Chargers, and then so are the Jaguars. And then you've got to look at schedules. You got to look at, just a whole myriad of things.
Yeah.
Which teams are dealing with what. And,
yeah,
that's one of my main topics about, Jackson I's upcoming game.
And yes, I want to answer that because, it is one of my passions. So, Heath, good to see you on the show. Yes, absolutely love deer hunting. That is like one of my favorite things to do. 100. That's why I own this jacket.
Raiders should
have hired Rich Bisaccia, in my opinion, thoughts, especially with the guy on the bottom. Well, at the time, I was really sad that Bisaccia left, but I'm glad, I don't think Bisaccia is at this point the right person. At the time, I thought he was, but that is kind of come and gone.
I feel like he would have been the hire over Pierce, and then incoming Pete. That would have been my opinion on them.
Yeah. So may as well just jump right into it. Obviously, there's 2 games that we had last week. So Jack, how'd that go?
You want to open up, pour some salt on the wounds, open that wound up?
Yeah. Let's just rip off that Band-Aid and get it over with. Yeah, so
we're gonna get it over and done with, out the way early, and then leave some room on the show to start getting into how do we refer to it? The outcome and the news that came after the game. How's that? Which is equally as epic as the game itself.
Right. So even more epically than the game itself, for sure. So the Raiders, they played Cleveland and it was an absolute debacle. I mean, I'm glad I couldn't watch it. I couldn't almost stomach, seeing the highlights of the game. But it was Raiders lost 24-10 to Cleveland. How do you lose 14 points to Cleveland? Well, let me just tell you how. And one of the biggest things, how bad the Raiders' offensive line was, they gave up 10 sacks.
Oh
10
my God.
in one game.
I mean,
And
Miles Garrett is over there. I get that.
Well, Miles Garrett had, again, I didn't not write down all the stats, but he had 3 of the 10 sacks. And Pete Carroll said in his press conference is that they tried to limit him, but it was the other guys. Well, no, you didn't limit him. You gave up 3 sacks to him. So it's Olay. We suck again. But, and this just shows how bad the offensive line was, which is that in the game, Meredith gets hurt. All right, so they had Putnam at center, Meredith at right guard, and Meredith gets hurt. So they pull him and they put Kappa in there. Then later on in the game, Putnam gets hurt. And they have this young rookie, out there. So that could actually come in, walking up and down the sidelines. From what I heard, he was pissed off because he didn't get selected. So they said, no, we're going to take a hurt Meredith and put him at the right guard. And we're going to leave Kappa at the center. And guys, you know this. I've been talking about this, how bad and mismanaged this offensive line is. Okay, so Meredith, who you've been using him at center pretty much the whole year, you decide to leave him at right guard, and Kappa, who came in like on an emergency kind of a notice, who's never played center the whole year, has not practiced for it. No, we're going to leave him at center. That just tells you what type of juvenile offensive line coach that the Raiders have. Yeah, this is like high school, I mean, it's so poor pissed plan out. It makes no sense. And I don't understand what this organization is doing. And it's so bad that, they've only converted on 4 of 17 first or third down. They had over 13 penalties for 109 yards. So not only are you playing bad, you're causing a ton of penalties. And I will gotta say, and there's some Raiders that are out there, Raider fans, the nation, that were, wanted to watch this game for Shador.
Right.
Because it's his first game, and he worked under Tom Brady, in some off seasons. But the Raiders chose not to sign him. And he went in the 6th round, to Cleveland. And he actually had a good game. He was 11 of 20, 209 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 1 sack at an 87.3 rating. So that's not a bad game for your very first game in the NFL. Again, I guess he got lucky playing against the Raiders. And again, the same thing is happening in the way of, Raiders can't get anything moving, on the ground. Genty, 17 for 50, 2.9 yards. His longest was 12. So that just tells you how bad that game is. But I will say one thing that was a positive in the game was Brock Bowers. So Brock Bowers, again, is setting another record. So let's see here. Oh, where'd you go, Brock? Okay, Brock Bowers. In the first 25 games of starting your career, he holds now the record for 157 receptions and 1,704 yards. He's the highest in both of those categories. So it seems like that kid, no matter what he does, he's always setting records. And you look at it, who in the heck has been his quarterbacks?
No,
if you would have got somebody like a Matthew Stafford, somebody who's decent and legit, then it's like those could have been so much higher. So it was a blowout. And you know what? It's like I'm almost glad they didn't win. I always want them to win, but I'm glad they didn't, because that actually moved them up to draft pick number 5 and moved Cleveland behind them. So now we're jumping Cleveland. Cleveland could be a possibility of a team that may actually take a quarterback. So I'm just happy for that.
I got to look at the draft order because I want to see like what teams need QBs like from 1 through 5. Because I think there's a lot of Raiders fans that are pretty high on Mendoza, right?
Yes. I mean, that would be number one, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay.
So, unless they keep losing, and again, I keep cheering for all the teams that have the crappy records to win a game,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
and then you guys got to lose some games to help. That when there's a tiebreaker, it always goes your strength of schedule. So you guys aren't helping me out. I know that your guys are happy about that, but it'd be okay if you lose a couple too, to bring down that strength of schedule to help my team out. But with that being said, that was a beatdown and 10 sacks. Oh, and that was the last time that was done was 1999. Yeah. The last time they gave up 10 sacks, and it was against Kansas City, which I don't want to say that one again. But yeah, so it's been 26 years we're giving up that many. But after the game, I mean, literally, I wonder if he, how soon did he even get in the locker room? But the Raiders, fired Chip Kelly. Their $6 million man. So you got to think of this. There's only 3 guys on the entire offense that made more money than him.
That's wild.
Gino, Colton Miller, and Aston Genty, which was making only $100,000 more. At number 6. So I mean, Chip has actually been horrible, for the Raiders, and it's amazing that Chip, almost lasted this long. It's just nothing ever seemed to work. He was in disagreements with Pete. They don't mesh.
Jack, I heard he wasn't even a hire from Pete, that it was Tom. Supposedly it was Tom Brady that brought in Chip Kelly. I hear those rumors? Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that, Tom liked him, but I also, you got to think about it. Pete Carroll was not the first choice. And, the year before it was Kingsbury was the number one. So I don't know how much of it's Tom or if it's a combination of Tom and Spytek, for that. And I can understand it, but the only time that Chip's only done well is when he's had exceptional players.
Yeah.
So you look at Ohio State, 2,000-yard running backs, 2,000-yard receivers. He hasn't had that since his days in Philadelphia. So the stint with the Niners, he didn't have it. Definitely doesn't have that here. So, Chip, thank you. You are nothing but a bag of chips, and the Raider Nation's not happy. His person that he brought over and follows him around is a guy who's assistant, Bob Bicknell. So he's also gone. So that gave the promotion to Greg Olson. He's the interim offensive coordinator. Hey, what's up, Ed? Happy Thanksgiving, man.
That made my day. That literally made my day. Ed, my day at work today was, in a word, insane. From start to finish. That comment made my day. So thank you for that. That was hilarious. Thanks for doing the show. We're gonna get into some of my comments on Nav's show. I was hoping to see Nav pop in today. I'd love to have him jump on the pod if at all possible. That'd be great to have him speak his bit on your QB as well. But anyways, thank you for joining. Leave your questions in the chat, and happy Thanksgiving to all the fans that are joining us today. Obviously, as a Canadian, my Thanksgiving has come and gone, but the big day for those Americans that are joining the show is coming up tomorrow.
And I'll save the Geno. I'll save the Geno stuff for the end. So just in case if Nav pops on, because I haven't seen Nav doing an impromptu show in a while, and it's watching. I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. He was fired up. So I hope he sees my text that I sent him and the text that you sent him, and I hope he does pop on. But I'll save the Geno piece to the end. So Greg Olson, again, is the one who's going to be the interim offensive coordinator for the rest of the season.
And for the people who don't know, that's not the tight end Greg Olson. It's a different guy.
Yeah. Well, not the tight end, Greg Olsen. This guy's been around for a long time. He's actually had his stint as the offensive coordinator for the Raiders back in 2013 and 2014, then gone. And then under John Gruden, well, John Gruden called the plays, but he was his offensive coordinator for advice from 2018 to 2021.
Okay.
So he's kind of a run 'em first style guy. So that's something we hope. But again, from what I said on last show, they're 0.4 before, yard before you're getting hit. So you're not even out of the backfield when you're getting hit. So we'll see what he does. I'm not expecting a whole bunch, especially not with this squad. But the one person that really needed to go, is Pete's son. Again, I just mentioned the offensive line to you guys, right? Well, who's in charge of that? It's Pete's son. He's putting guys in positions they don't play. And, he's still got, a job. And I guess you need to be the coach's son in order to retain your job. But that is getting Raider Nation fired up and seeing what this guy's doing on here. And even ex-Raider players are now starting to jump in. So, like Lincoln Kennedy, even though Lincoln works for the Raiders, he was kind of more, mild-tempered. But a guy that I like, and I know Richie likes this guy, I know Raider Nation likes this guy, is Richie Incognito. Back in the day, he was the Raiders left guard, just a nasty. He's like a JPJ style player. If anyone doesn't know who he is,
That's who
he's
he
just
reminds
got
me
that
of.
type of mentality.
It was like a JPJ clone almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or JPJ is a clone of him essentially.
Yep.
So this is what he had to say about Brennan Carroll, and you guys have been hearing me. And then everybody else, yeah, you're right, Ed. I agree. I can do a better job than Brandon Carroll. I can put the guys at least in the right spot, where they should play, right? Versus where they shouldn't be playing. So this is what Incognito, when asked, like what's wrong, what's going on about Brandon Carroll. So I'm going to read this to you. Excuse me. He's got to go. Brandon Carroll hasn't developed this group at all. They have gotten worse every single week. Zero progression, zero improvement. The fundamentals just aren't there. Bad footwork, high pad level, slow hands, blown assignments everywhere. When an O-line looks this lost in week 11, that's 100% on coaching. And there's a part that drives me crazy. We've got 2 third-round rookies who haven't even sniffed the field because he can't get them ready to play. That's the job. Develop young linemen, coach them up, give them a chance to grow. Instead, this room is flat out regress. Nobody knows how to block, and the technique is awful. At some point, you have to hold the position coach accountable. I don't know if he will just because he's Pete's son. And Incognito was right on point, and I've been saying this the whole flipping year, and most of the nation has been saying the same thing. So, yeah, he needs to do something, and it's like when they put Kappa back at center, and it made no sense, and then you got that rookie Rodgers walking along the sidelines. He's ready to go. He's got his helmet. No, let's put in, an injured Meredith back in there instead of giving this 3rd-round draft pick an opportunity to play. He was pissed. And I think the nation, feels for him and all the other rookies. So Pete needs to, get his ship straight. And this is actually, I feel like it's causing a rift, not only between, what's happened with the coaches, but with Spytek, Brady. And you got to look at the front office. The front office has got amazing personnel in there. And what this coaching staff is doing, penalty-wise, I just mentioned, players not playing, people, leaving a team. So it's a shipwreck. And so that's what's kind of happening with my team. And again, everybody that's in the chat, salute. I'm sorry I didn't read off your names.
We're getting some activity in here. Let's just keep the chat going, get those questions flowing, and we'll do our best to answer those as the pod goes on. Jack, I have a couple questions for you though.
Yeah,
I have a couple questions for you. So I didn't get a chance to bring this up with Nav on his pod, but
There you go, Rip. What's up, bro?
So number one, what I'm really surprised with is Raiders Nation not holding Spy
Oh,
Tech
wait.
accountable.
I got to stop you, okay? Because this is going to come back later in the show. It's Raider Nation, not Raiders Nation. It's Raider Nation. I have to
I'm a
correct you on
Broncos
that.
fan. I'm allowed to screw it up.
Yeah.
No, Raider Nation, right? So you got Raider Nation here, who's all over, yelling at Brendan Carroll, screaming at Pete Carroll. Chip Kelly basically, they basically had him on a stake over a fire already at that point. So I mean, that was like, okay, fine, basically the expected sacrificial lamb of the year for the Raiders, and frankly, warranted. Like Chip legitimately was the weak link, so that was a well-deserved firing. But and you hate to see guys get fired, but at the end of the day, it's a results-driven business, and your offense actually regressed rather than progressed under Chip Kelly, and he's the head of that ship, so he kind of goes down with the ship in that regard. But the one thing you're missing, I haven't heard you mention it, I haven't heard Nab mention it. I don't think I've heard Captain mention it either. Captain's actually normally a little bit ahead of the curve and some of that kind of stuff, where he kind of will at least talk about the front office a little bit. Is Spytek himself. Like, where is your offensive line depth this year? Where is the recognition that your offensive line was not up to par coming into the season from your front office and from your GM? And so that's kind of one part of my question. And then the other part is, if I were to fake it for a day and pretend that I'm a Raiders fan, I would be demanding, like, come hell or high water, Brian Daboll needs to be my offensive coordinator, with the promise that he's going to be a fill-in and assistant head coach in the event that Pete Carroll doesn't turn it around.
I don't know, because Daboll could essentially get another gig next year, but that's a name that I haven't heard. That's pretty spicy.
So, wait a minute, I brought his name up last week.
But for the Raiders,
no, I brought it up in Daboll in terms of on the show.
I talked about potential offensive coordinators. Before he got fired, I have a list of different guys, and he's actually one of the guys that I had on there. I had, also, Joe Brady, potential, Mike McCarthy. I said, you guys remember this? I said Mike McDaniels, if he gets fired, I would want him as an offensive coordinator big time.
Yeah. So McDaniels is another really interesting dude who would be an excellent OC for you guys as well. But my point is that Daboll would be a really interesting choice, because Daboll actually had a pretty good run there at the beginning with the New York Giants in terms of how the team was looking. It's clear that he can, in fact, run things as a head coach. And it's also clear that there are some issues with both New York teams, if we're going to be honest, in terms of ownership group. You can't churn through head coaches and this sort of thing and not have the problem actually be higher up within the organization with this kind of sustained issue that's going on within the team. At some point, the issue isn't just the coaches, it's actually the level up above the coaches, not either paying enough attention, not knowing what they're doing, or just, they just don't care, right? It's like, whatever, we're making money, meh, right? And so I would love to see you guys, if I'm playing, Raiders fan for the day, go out and get Brian Daboll, keep Geno Smith, because I think Brian Daboll. Well, I actually think that. Well, sorry.
We'll talk about the Geno part. We'll see.
His comments aside, based on
Yep.
pure play, I think that Geno Smith can in fact turn it around.
Nope.
But you have to put together an offensive line and an offensive scheme and an offensive vision that you can then build around. Now, if Geno Smith is a bridge too far for the team, fair enough. But my point is that I actually think that the Raiders are better suited getting yourself an upgrade or a lateral move for a Geno Smith type quarterback and building the trenches to then allow yourself to then do what I wanted my Broncos to do. Again, I'm playing Raiders fan for the day. I'm not trying to tank your team.
Sure.
I'm actually like I wanted the same thing for my team, right? So I'm literally putting the same blueprint on the table. Build the trenches, build the offensive vision, and then package some of those picks together that you end up getting because you built your team young, and then go ahead and get yourself a quarterback.
So,
Well, let me answer that. So the vision was before, and we kind of all talked this. We thought there was finally a man in the room amongst boys to run this squad. And looking back on it, it's exactly the opposite. It's like politics in California. It's backwards. But before the season started and Brendan got his hands on everything, again, Colt Miller at the left tackle, Meredith at the left guard was ranked 10th last year.
Yep.
And JPJ at center. Parham was ranked 17th. And DJ Glaze, for a third round pick, played very well.
it's like they
For being
purposely screwed it up.
the
Jack.
right guard. I'm sorry, say that again, DJ.
It's like they purposely screwed it up this year.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just like the Raiders. They're so bad, you don't have to take the win, and that's what Brendan Carroll is.
It's almost like self-sabotage what's going on in Las Vegas right now, in my opinion. And rip it and flip it. I remember weeks ago, I was like, Aiden O'Connell should be starting right now. Not Kenny Pickett, not Geno. But I think when I did say that weeks ago, I think he was just coming off IR or still was on IR. So if he's healthy now, put him out there. Bench this dude that is doing absolutely zero for your team in Geno Smith. I think his days are gone. And he needs an elite,
that's a possibility. But DZ, I'm for ripping and flipping. My thought on it. We know what we got with Aiden O'Connell. We know what we got. He's very slow of foot. And if we're giving up 10 sacks for Geno, who's got more movement than Aiden O'Connell, I'm afraid Aiden O'Connell is going to end up back on the IR again.
Yeah.
So look, I would almost rather see Kenny Pickett because Pickett's not coming back. And unless Pickett showed, he's a great player, then we would think about bringing him back because right now he's not coming back. They're not going to pay him the money when you have Aiden O'Connell. So
I don't know. I just know that this week, like, I know Raider Nation is they're diehard, right? Like, but I saw some on X. I don't know how many people in here are on X, but I don't think I've seen as many like negative Raider Nation calling out their team as I have, after your guys' game against Cleveland. They are, I don't know how they do it, man. I mean, you look back in the last 20 years or 22 years you've had like one winning season or the last
2016 and then after that it was like 2002 when we went to the Super Bowl, but yeah, it's been a desert, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then what's going on this year, the dysfunction especially on the offensive line. I mean, look, as a Chargers fan, I get it. But you said something earlier about coaching. I don't know if that was Richie or you said, coaching is what helps you with that. But, we talked about it months ago or weeks ago, early in the season, like the whole JPJ switching, over for Meredith and how we're like, how does that make any sense? And that debacle with Brendan Carroll, everything stinks right now, man. And then the pass weapons, letting Jacoby go, trading him, right? Obviously, that's due to your season. But now there's no perimeter pass catchers, right? Other than Thornton. And
all you got is Bowers.
you know,
and Dante Thornton's not playing that well. Finding out that he's like when he was at Tennessee, they only had him run, the deep ball. And so before, when he was at Oregon, he did more route running. But, again, you can just kind of see that his route running's not there now at this point.
If you guys look, obviously you're going to keep Carroll, right? And going into next season, you would think, right? You're projected to have a lot of stuff going into next year. Top 5 pick, potentially a top 3 pick. Which could land you your potential franchise QB, $100+ million to spend, 10+ draft picks, and there's even rumors that this is a one and done year for Pete. I'm not buying that. I think he stays, but who knows? Who knows what happens? But
that's up in the air.
The future's bright, but you guys have had this before, and it's all fell apart. So I'm going to start to question Mark Davis. If I was a Raiders fan, I'm not questioning the coaches anymore. You got to start looking at ownership and going like, what the hell's going on, buddy? Like, what are you doing?
I think the ownership needs to talk to Pete and say, you need to get your shit straightened out, because, you look at this, and how many times have I talked about Pete not playing? Again, Pete used to play right. Anybody, right? It didn't matter where you were, where you came from. You're on a team, you compete. And that was the motto.
But we know about Pete, Jack.
And that's the thing. He's not doing what Pete normally does. He's not playing with rookies.
Or is he handcuffed? Or is somebody, Spycheck and Brady, are they kind of like pulling the strings right now?
It's the opposite. I think it's completely the opposite, and there's a dysfunction because these are Spycheck's guys, right? Howie Roseman's right-hand man came over. Richie's guy who's been, with his squad for like 20 years as, an assistant is coming over. So you got guys that know what they're doing, and they're drafting these players. But Pete absolutely refuses. So like with Rodgers, he won't play him. He was supposed to be the starter, against the Cowboys, but he had one bad practice and yanked him. Said, no, I'm not even going to make you dress. So I think that all falls again with Brennan Carroll, his son. And of course, fathers love their sons. And he, whatever he says, he probably just, hey, you're the O-line coach. You're the running back coach. And that's been the worst part about this entire offense the whole year.
Believe me, I'm not pouring salt on the wound here, because if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be absolutely livid and pissed off what's going on with my organization right now. But in the last 20 years, you've only had one coach with a winning record. Do you know who that was? I was letting you see if you guys can guess. No, not Gruden.
Oh, in the last 20 years?
Yeah. It was before Gruden, right before Gruden.
Oh, for the Raiders or your Chargers?
Raiders.
Oh. Jack Del Rio.
Yeah. 25-23, barely, right? You've had 14 QBs in that time, 0 playoff wins. This is why I blame ownership. This is why I go ownership. And I'm not really trying to blame Pete, but, and all right, blame Pete for his son's hire, because your biggest weakness right now on the offensive side of the ball is that offensive line and the coaching on that. And what you were saying, how you have those rookies not ready to step in, that's a shame. And they're putting a banged up guy back out there. And then, 10 sacks, like that's bush.
It's like, what do you have to do, and how bad did your starters have to be to get these young kids playing time when there's nothing to play for? And, and kind of what, Richie said, for, getting or drafting an offensive lineman. Well, how do you know? I mean, at the beginning of the season, you didn't seem that you're that far back with what we had in 2 third-round offensive linemen. But how do you know what you got unless they play? I mean, what if one of these 2 kids step up? So maybe you're not going to draft 2 offensive linemen. Maybe just draft 1 offensive lineman. You got to see what these young kids can do and let them get out there. And both of them had like 4,000 snaps in college. So they drafted them because they had a lot of snaps. They're durable. So
I'll get shit for this because I'm a Chargers fan, but the Raiders is a storied franchise.
It is.
It's got one of the best fan bases in all of professional sports. And what's going on with your guys' team these last 2 decades is, I think, unacceptable in the league. Look, I don't have Super Bowls on my team, but they've won playoff games. They've done some good stuff, and they keep you going at least, and they get everybody excited, and they get primetime games and all that kind of stuff. But Raider Nation should be just. You guys can't take this. You guys, there's got to be something. And out of all the fan bases who have a voice, it's you guys. And you're going to get to the Geno thing, and I hopefully, rightfully, you should. And I think Raider Nation should have that guy, pack his shit and get the hell out of Vegas. But that's just me. But
after what he did, yeah, I agree. Although I do still think that when you look at what he did last year, like before the Raiders, it's clear that he was able to perform with a bad offensive line, and do okay.
I don't know if it's bad. Yeah, I think the Raiders are on pace for they're getting close to like their all-time record in giving up sacks. I think their record is like 73. Again, if I recall it right, and I think they're on pace for 68 right now. So that just says definitely one of the worst offensive lines that they're putting out there.
And you guys did right by firing Chip, because your offense last year was better than your current offense this year. So
yes, it was.
Yep. So that's
a sad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Jack, you are right in that front that your offensive line is obviously the problem. You got the other piece that we're kind of missing here is you got a top tier running back that is deemed as a generational player, and combined with the offensive line not blocking and him not being coached up properly, he's really way underproduced of where someone of his caliber should be in the league. Like, realistically speaking, you should be talking about Genty the same way that you're talking about Bowers, right? Based on how he was drafted and his possibilities.
We're talking about Genty the same way like we're talking last year as Raider fans as Zamir White.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the way of production.
So, sorry, I have one other question, and this is from a Broncos fan's lens here. Having had a team president, executive of football operations, roll my eyes every time I hear that crap. But John Elway was a meddler. So he kind of, rather than running the team as a whole, he kind of
Jerry Jones.
Yes, exactly. Like Jerry Jones. He loved to kind of reach further down the org chart and kind of, tinkered a little too much. You know what I mean? Did too much further down the org chart rather than focusing at the big picture. So I'm looking at Sandra Douglas Morgan, who is your team's president. Before we go all the way up the food chain to Mark Davis for sure, I have some questions about her as well as John Spytek as the GM combined. Is Spytek being held back in terms of what he's allowed to do, or is Spytek overexerting himself because he's trying to show that he knows what he's doing? Like these are all questions that I often ask myself.
I'm giving Spytek a pass. This is
right,
and
you know what, and that's fine, and I would be willing to do that as well, right? I'd be willing to give him a pass, but then literally, if that's what you're saying, then you have potentially only two things left to try to course correct as a Raiders team. It's either Mark Davis has literally got to be forced to try to sell the team to move on.
No.
Okay. And I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think that Raiders fans want that to happen. And then your only option left is at the end of the season. Right. Then the only option you have at the end of the season is to do what no team wants to do, and you don't want to be that team. But at some point, I guess you got to look at things and say, we made a mistake. Then that would mean that Pete Carroll, you then have to say, look, Pete, Chip was a bad hire. Maybe you didn't bring him in. Fine. But do you know what? You also didn't course correct on your own. You were obviously forced to course correct, which I think is fair, because you don't wait until week 12 to get rid of an offensive coordinator that has proven consistently throughout the season for you guys with problems. So, I mean, I think that's fair. Like at some point you have to look at it and say, like, your offensive line's a problem. Either Pete Carroll is then basically told to sit down, shut up, and coach the team, and you have no control over the offense. We're bringing in Brian Daboll or Mike McDaniel as an example if he gets fired in Miami. You bring in one of those types of guys that are kind of forces in and of themselves with a proven track record on the offensive side of the ball. Like, not Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly did not have a proven track record at the offensive side of the ball. Almost anyone else would have probably been a better choice as an offensive coordinator. Like I said on the last week's pod, Chip Kelly to me is the equivalent of a few of the offensive coordinators that the Broncos brought in under the John Elway era rather. We had Pat Shurmur, I think, is like my equivalent to Chip Kelly. They have never once had a great season in the NFL, really. And they had like one outlier, and then they like to tout that because it brings up their total averages. So what do you think about the general theory there?
So go down to rip and flip. And, that's right. Again, when you ask the question, and this kind of segues into it, Spytek is pretty much given everything. He's drafted the players, right? He drafted the players. Pete's not playing his players that he's drafted. Okay. So, but Pete also got to bring in, Jamal Adams from the Seattle days, Forsythe from Seattle. So he's bringing in guys that he's got a familiarity with. So Spytek has kind of let him, go, hey, I need this guy. Let's get this guy. He's been doing that. And I think, again, where I think Spytek is getting kind of probably pissed off about is going, hey, I got you all these players. I, translated 7 picks into 11 picks total. 9 are on the team. And besides Genty, none of them are playing. It's like, I'm giving you these players and they're not being used, and the season's over. So I do see there's a disconnect between, again, Pete and his coaches. And by the way, with the coaches, this is the first time in his history in the NFL that Pete has fired a coach. Wow. And this year he fired 2 of them. So there is definitely some disconnect, with Pete, his staff, upper management. And I do believe when you said Mark Davis sell the team, no, I don't see that ever going to happen. I can see if Mark were to die tomorrow, then, somehow, some way, then Tom Brady's going to run the operational portion of the Raiders, not knowing, ownership wise, but just running stuff. So I do blame Pete because, he is the head coach. His son is garbage. And you know what? Joe Philbin should reality. Joe Philbin, and I've said this, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, Joe Philbin should be the one that should be taken over. And, don't fire your son, Brennan. Make him the assistant. Don't make him run it. Make him watch and learn because he's never done it at the NFL level. Rich, I hope that helps you out, answer your question.
It does, and I think then the answer actually has to be, and this is not what I know you were thinking or wanting, but I think then the answer has to be is, Pete, you have not brought the Seattle culture with you into Las Vegas. You have not adapted or done the iron sharpens iron. You have not brought that competitive spirit that we wanted you to bring from your Seattle days into Vegas to bring that edge that we needed. At this stage here, you really have no choice then if what you're saying all lines up, which, by the way, I am completely willing to say is true. Then you have no choice. Pete Carroll has to be fired.
Well, I won't say no choice. I will say right now, it's in my mind, it could be. I can go either way. You know, Pete Carroll's 74 years old. We've not seen the blueprint from this team. But on the flip side of that, again, what did he inherit? Again, I don't like what he's done over the course of the season, but I think a lot of Raider fans are also, sick and tired of flipping and flipping and flipping
Turnover. Yeah.
coaches. Then you got to start new rosters and stuff. But, I think it really will depend on who's available, next offseason.
Yeah, okay.
And again, we still have another, 6 weeks to go. So at this point, I don't see him getting fired. I know some content creators out there, even the big ones, want him gone. I know other content creators like Nav said, nope, don't make him, go away. Again, we don't want the turnover. So it's a split. It's split between the nation.
But my point is, Jack, is that how else is your team going to change course? Like, if you're saying the problem isn't
to what you can control, like you said, right? Is it going to be spy tech, jumping in, going, hey, I'm your boss. This is what you're going to do. Hey, what's up, Yonkin?
David Yonkin, what's up, my man? But Jack, it really comes down, and then we'll kind of move on to kind of the next topic and everything here in terms of Gino. But
oh God,
at the end of the day, it comes down to this, right? All of Raider Nation wants your team to do better than you are now. Okay, I think we can mutually agree on that, like unilaterally. Cool. Actually, if I'm going to be honest, I want your team to do better than you are now, right? Because
you want us to get a worse draft pick.
Pardon me?
No. I said you want us to get a worse draft pick, so again,
no. I mean, where you're at this season is a done deal, man, right? Like you are where you're at this year. It is what it is. But I want the AFC West to field the best division in football on a consistent basis.
I agree.
And then I want my team to then beat out the best division in football to then come out on top as a result, right? That's what I want. And that's great. But the thing is that if I'm in your position, then the point is that regardless of where you're at this season, regardless of where your draft pick ends up this season, the question is then going to end up being, is that how are you then going to fix it so that you don't do this again? Because that's the question. That's the benchmark. And then the only solution that you have at this point, given what you have said and your responses to my questions, the only solution, and this is totally not ideal, because you then become the team that has the reputation of constantly firing coaches. But at some point, you're going to have to frame it as, we gave him ample opportunity to make proper changes, and the dude never did. Mm-hmm. He has no vision. He didn't bring a competitive attitude. He promised us he would. Get gone. And
yeah, that's going to be the next guy to talk about. Get gone.
And actually, the best option for Pete, if I'm going to be honest, the Raiders really should be presenting this to him as his two options, is, Pete, this season you sucked. You did not do what you were supposed to do. Your son may have actually been the only coach on the team that was worse than you, and that's saying something.
Right.
Okay. So here's your two options, Pete.
Chip too.
Yeah. Well, Chip's already gone, but again, you could argue that Chip was then a Pete Carroll, not guy, but he was at least the guy that Pete Carroll brought in as a result out of his options available. But anyways, the point here is this. You then go to Pete and say, Pete, here's your two options. Number one, you retire and we have a big celebration to thank you for your service to the team and blah, 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 and we send you off into the sunset. Or two, we come out publicly, say how much of a crappy job you did and that we never want you back in our team or our building, and we kick you to the curb. Take your pick. It's one of the two.
Yeah, well, we're going to see. I don't want to go that far. Again, there's still 6 games left. Maybe he changes his ways. Who knows? It's so far on the side, I kind of lean more to getting rid of him, but I also want to see what's out there before I would say one or the other. But the one guy I will say, because Nab didn't pop in, this is what the nation has been talking about, and this is a big story too. Is after the game, Geno Smith running off the field, flipping off a Raider fan. And, and what's crazy is that Raider fan was on Nav's channel last night, and I know him in chats.
Damn.
So it's Hug D's. He gave Hug D's the finger. So it's like the nation, you're the coach, you're the quarterback of the team. You got
did he have a sign?
Chest. Huh?
Did that guy, did he have a sign in that?
I don't know. I don't know. I never asked him.
So, with AI, you can never trust anything, right? Online. Supposedly that guy, like they have like this picture of Geno flipping some dude off, and I don't know if it's fake or not, but there was like a guy with a sign, right? And who knows what it said on there. But then I'm seeing the picture of him flipping that guy off with that sign. So I wonder if, I don't know, hopefully Nav does pop in to ask that guy, because that'd be clear some stuff.
I can ask him, because I'm in a private chat with Nav and some others on that go on Mitchell Rentz's show, and so Hug D's is also in that chat, so I can probably ask him and see what he said. But it was nothing mentioned like that on Nav's show. But if you are you're a quarterback, you're giving the bird to the nation, the nation, you don't do that. It's like, that's the one thing you don't do. No one's above the shield. And so nobody is liking Geno right now. And, and it's crazy. And Nav said this, and, and I've been, watching all the stuff. No, Raiders, insider beat writers are asking the question, until today. Hey, what's going on? Don't ask that question. Nobody asked that question.
They don't want to lose their media access. Right.
And so then one of the guys that, and again, I'll say this for Nav, which is pretty cool, is that, there's a YouTube show, a guy who's another kind of beat writer for the Raiders. He gets to interview all the players, like in training camp and everything else, and JT the Brick. Nav sends them a, $10 super. And he said, thanks for the super. And then he's all, just explain to me, if I was a 6-year-old, what Geno flipping, nation off, and he got banned. He got banned from the channel and never answered the question.
I'm going to say JT the Brick is a douchebag. I've always thought he was. For years, he can't even talk about opposing teams without just bashing. He can never just be like level-headed going in. Yeah. Dude, the guy's a clown, man.
Well, but, and another thing that's crazy about it is that, again, a lot of us Raider fans are like, the guy who got flipped off was a mod for JT. And he said, he's all, how do you take away my wrench? I don't want it anymore. So I mean, we're the nation is connected. And this is today. Finally, he got asked. And first I got to say, this is from the team. And this is what the team posted, but you actually have to look for it. It's not like when Chip Kelly got fired or their special teams coach got fired and they put out a thing going, thank you for your time here. We wish you the best of luck, blah, 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 blah. So this is what the Raiders, and whoever did this doesn't know what the hell they're talking about either. The Las Vegas Raiders have issued an apology for quarterback Geno Smith, obscure gesture to fans. After a recent loss to the Browns, the team stated they were disappointed in his actions, have discussed the incident with Geno, and hold the Raider Nation in the highest regard. No, it's not. Like I corrected Richie, it's not the Raider Nation, it is Raider Nation. So the team also stated the incident is considered conduct detrimental to the team. So if we did not have Pete Carroll here, we could say it's detrimental to the team and then just kick your ass to the curb, and then we don't have to eat your whole fucking contract. And I apologize about the swearing, but Nation is fired up on this. It's like, That is the one thing you don't do. And if it's detrimental to the team, like Christian Wilkins, then get rid of him, and you'll get that money back, and we'll have more money for next year. So, and then Gino comes out today, and I listened to his presser. He didn't come out and say, "Oh, I apologize." He actually, again, now the beat writers were allowed to ask the question. So somebody had to actually ask him the question to get a response out of him, where the first thing out of his mouth should have said, "The nation, I'm sorry. I should have done that." And I watched it, and this is my notes. He said it lacked, any compassion. There was it just seemed fake. It's just like, put everything on my shoulder. Like you said, hey, if your car breaks down, just put it on my shoulder. It felt like bullshit. So Gino can go kick rocks. I don't care if Gino stays. And and I will put this on ownership. You guys were talking about ownership, and we're gonna see what happens. Is if he comes out and he starts the game, that's on Mark Davis.
I do know that the Raider team, the player-wise, they seem to get pretty fired up after some sort of firing. These last few years, like, they fire somebody, and the next game they come out with some fire in their ass. So I'm getting ready for that. I think they're gonna want to.
Well, we'll talk. We can talk about that when we're playing you guys next week. But if I don't see anything from Pete and sitting him down, then Pete, you can go right off of that, and I'll say that. And Mark Davis, that's on you, because the nation's got you, and you represent the nation. And you know what? He needs to at least sit. Let it be, a series, a quarter, an entire game. Get him out of there. That's got to be punished. There's no way that should be rewarded, and let him play.
I agree. I think he should sit a series, because at the end of the day, if you're even considering firing your head coach, you do at least need your head coach to have access to who he believes is the best player to have him succeed. But at the same time, I completely agree that as the owner, you got to step down and be like, that crap, just, that's a no-go. That's a red line. It's one thing to get frustrated. It's one thing to throw your helmet or even take a penalty because you're so pissed off that you're cursing out the ref, right? So be it. Yep. Sorry, ref guru, but hey, it is what it is, my man. Right? Sorry. But even that, I could at least kind of say, look, that was a dumb move, but hey, adrenaline and testosterone and all things come together.
Right.
But to sit there and then take it out on the fans and to flip them off. And by the way, DZ, I did just look up that video. You are correct. A fan did in fact have an orange sign as he kind of hit that section of the
send it to me. Send it to me behind the scenes.
It must have been somebody must have put something on the sign, because the sign I saw was white. So if it was orange,
no. But there's the first sign that I saw was orange, but there was 2 or 3 signs all the way down that front bit. So I didn't. There may have been a white one next to him, but there was a bright literally almost like Broncos orange style sign with black words on it that I couldn't fully read because it was kind of blurred out.
People can bring in markers, right, and have a blank side of a sign and write whatever they want as players are leaving. So somebody could have done something like that. And
but at the same time, I agree. Yeah, at the same time though, I agree. Navman brought it up. Someone else brought it up in Navman's stream yesterday. And I understand Gino's frustrated. I actually think that Gino has a right to be frustrated because the team that has been put in front of him, especially on the offensive line, The right guys have not been in the right place. You've already said that as much, Jack, yourself. And so I would feel slighted a little bit by if I was Geno Smith, because I feel that the Raiders haven't put the right players in front of me to succeed. However, that does not then give you the right to then lash out and take it out on the fans. That is a conversation that really ought to be had behind closed doors between yourself, the coaching, and whatever. In fact, I would even be cool, not okay with it, but at least understanding if he's like reaming out Pete Carroll on the sideline, right? Like, what is this? Like, what is this crap, man? Like,
Dude, I wouldn't mind seeing him. I'd like to see him fight. But, it's like even this dysfunction, like in what I read, when I emphasize okay, you're representing the team and you're putting out a team statement and you're not even doing it correctly. Like you don't know your own organization.
Shows lack of character to me.
So, yeah, it just shows dysfunction all around. So
sorry, to answer this, Jack, Al, absolutely not.
No.
Jerry Jones, he'll put up with crap. He had players that did worse.
Al would probably kick somebody's ass. Probably he'd probably put somebody. He probably would have put somebody up against a wall.
Yeah, Al would have fired Pete. Mid game. We're doing this type of crap.
No, but I meant in terms of like Geno. No, but what Geno Smith did, Jerry Jones would make up some kind of like excuse because he has that like forgiveness style gene. Like he had all sorts of players that did all sorts of really dumb crap over the course of the Cowboys' tenure. But Al Davis, are you kidding me? No. Al Davis would have ran down to the locker room after seeing that on the Jumbotron and reamed him out in front of the entire team, like for sure. Like
not only would he reamed him out, he would have grabbed him by an ear like he's a kid and pulled him out, of the building and said goodbye.
Look, I'm a Broncos fan, and like there are certain owners like staples within the NFL. Al Davis was one of them, and Pat Bowlen from my Broncos was another. Like just absolute, just upper tier owners in the NFL. Neither one of them would have stood for that crap, like period. And they would have just reamed him out right in front of his face, in front of all of his teammates, in front of everyone. They're like, you disrespect, you respect this, be gone. And they would have done something better right then and there. Although I do think that from a practical perspective, the owner would have then also given the head coach some grace, given the fact that there was the ebb and flow at the most important position on the field, at least the one that touches the ball the most. Anyways,
right
guys,
there, right there. I'll leave it at that. Geno has zero rights.
That's all.
He didn't earn that C on his chest either. Yeah. I agree.
We got
just
guys
given
that are captains on our team that I'm like, this is just BS locker room politics. Like they don't need to be a captain.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's where we're at with the team. We already covered the Chiefs and Colts kind of briefly there. And rip it and flip it. I do agree that 100% shows a lack of character. It also shows very questionable judgment. So you would actually have to have some additional concerns with him when he's put himself in bad positions, perhaps in the off season as well. If he's put in a bad spot, is he going to be the guy that gets violent when he's cornered by somebody or something, or walk away? So someone who's going to be a little bit more reserved and a little bit more mentally strong would actually walk away, right? Whereas someone like that, who's willing to just let himself get flustered, you start to question whether or not they're going to do something stupid. So as we look ahead, let's start talking about the news over the course of the week.
Yeah.
Jack, you kind of rolled it in already. So obviously Chip Kelly is out for your team. You got Olsen stepping in at the offensive coordinator position. Traditionally, DZ, you were absolutely correct. The Raiders have had this interesting spark, actually.
Yeah.
Typically, when they make changes of this magnitude on their team, they have had that sort of success for a few years now, actually, where they've had that kind of like resurgence after a big change like this has taken
I mean,
place.
it's been a common trend, no offense, but it's a common trend, common theme with the Raiders firing guys. So we have something, we have the history to go off of it, of how they respond to these kind of things.
Yep, you are correct. We're gonna circle back to that one real quick because I'm just gonna give a quick rundown on some Broncos news, and then we'll go right back to that to talk about the Chargers-Raiders game that's coming up this next week. So the Denver Broncos, or my Denver Broncos, or our Denver Broncos, depending on who's watching the show here, made some moves this week. Earlier today, the first
Flurry
of which,
moves.
yeah. God, this is. I puked a little bit in my mouth as I'm about to say
You
the
should
first
tell the
one out
Oh, I
chat.
know
loud.
what you're going to talk about.
There's some new people in the chat, so they're probably not getting what you're about to say.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm about to say something, and I can feel myself just not feeling correct as I'm about to say it aloud. My team just extended Luke Wattenberg as our center position. Sorry, just real quick.
Now, I know there's some new people in this chat, but Richie has talked about Wattenberg quite a lot these last couple seasons.
I don't think there's been a game that we haven't turned the name Wattenberg.
He is his biggest fan.
Absolutely. Posters on the wall.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Darts thrown.
So, in fairness, though, the players that I detest at that level, the 2 or 3 of them that have risen to that level of Rich not liking them,
right,
has largely turned out to be a pretty solid track record on my part, if we're going to be honest.
It's like some reverse psychology voodoo you got going on.
No, but like the one guy that all Broncos country called me crazy for not liking was Justin Simmons.
Yeah, well,
and
that came true to fruition.
Hey, we got a new nickname. Check that out, Richie. You got someone who agrees with you 100% right there.
I agree. That's actually a good one.
What a turd.
Yeah.
What a turd.
Yeah. I mean, I called him the bagel chaser, but I mean, you can go on in any which way, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I agree that my issue with Wattenberg is this: Miners has covered up so much of Wattenberg's issues because Miners is such a good guard. Like, he is awesome at his position. And you even seen him in games where he has like bagel chaser too. But you've seen Miners literally push his guy back and then turn over to Wattenberg's side to hope that he's also able to block Wattenberg's player too. Like, that is just how bad Wattenberg has been overall. And because of Quinn Miners being beside him, Wattenberg has just looked way better than he actually is. And that's saying something because I think he looks like trash. Like, even with the help that he's getting from Miners on the right side. Palczewski as well is looking awesome as a fill-in for Powers. So Palcho, my man, the dude got engaged in the offseason, and like I said, underrated right tackle, swing right tackle, and tackle for my team. My big issue with Wattenberg is the dude's just got to go. I hate him as a player. Didn't want him here. Didn't want to re-sign him. And my team extended him for some stupid amount of money.
They doubled down like by
what was the contract?
It's like, I think it's a
12 mil a year.
Deal.
For how many years?
4.
I saw it, but I just wanted the chat to hear it because they don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to forget that, Jack. You know, there's certain things that I was just like trying to like will into fruition, including Alzheimer's on a single and sole issue.
I'm gonna stop shopping at Walmart. Damn it.
So
anyway, paying for these players.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what my problem is. There is we've got big time issues in terms of him. I think that's going to come back to bite us. Maybe if we're lucky, and this is what I'm hoping for, is we extended him for 4 years. I need to look at the way that the deal is structured. If there's an out after 2, then maybe, just maybe, this is a bit of a 3D chess move where we're going to draft a center really high and then cut him after 2 years, and I'd be fine with that too. But
That
either
is
way,
wishful thinking, but yes, I agree.
look, I'm hoping. Okay, I'm trying to just like, serenity now. This is
Wrong
what I'm aiming
show,
here.
Brian.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Brought to you by.
And look, I agree. So this is the thing with Wattenberg, is that generally speaking in pass pro, he's okay. Like, as in, like, when I say okay, he's in the upper tier, like upper half of the centers in the league. But in run blocking and some other certain types of plays, including mid to high tier defensive linemen that do stunts. So they'll come from, say, the outer shoulder of the guard. Crosby, by the way, did this about 3 or 4 times against Wattenberg and just made him look like an absolute clown. So he, like literally, like,
this week.
yeah. And so Crosby came from the outer shoulder of the outside shoulder of the guard, so basically between the guard and the tackle, and then he did a spin move around the interior defensive lineman, came right up the middle and just made Wattenberg like an idiot. Like, literally, just like, it was like Wattenberg just kind of like almost did just like a turnstile and say, my quarterback's right here. Vanna White style.
As us Chargers fans like to say, he did a Bradley Bozeman impression.
Yes, he did. And so that was a big issue. So anyways, he got a $48 million extension, which is a 4-year deal. I was less than impressed. Now, we signed another player, and this one I liked. So we go from one extreme to the other. Malcolm Roach was signed to a 3-year contract extension worth up to $29.25 million. That's a good number, which means that there's escalators in there as well, so I then expect him to actually earn quite a bit less than that, likely. So I think that's just a good deal for us. $14 million guaranteed. Even $14 million just for a single season is actually not bad for a really good run-stopping interior defensive lineman.
I'm all about paying trenches now, man.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah. And so we locked him in. That's fantastic. Honestly, a great signing for my Denver Broncos to shore up a defense that is, even Buddy in the chat here that has been railing on my Broncos in Chris Stillkids here. He's like, the Broncos suck. They're never making a Super Bowl, but their defense is on fire though. So, it's pretty hard to kind of, it's pretty hard to deny that. And I agree. So we locked up Malcolm Roach. I really liked him when we brought him as a signing. He's a good run stuff guy. He's got a decent motor. He had a small injury at the beginning of the season, a couple games he missed. But the interior guys, great dues to pay if they're playing at a high level. Malcolm Roach is definitely doing that.
Yep.
And we will see where that lands us.
And Richie, is Roach a big body guy, or is he kind of like the other defensive tackles, or just quicker, lighter, leaner, or is he like the chunk?
Big-ish. He is not the size that I want for my Broncos to bring in, say, as a draft pick. I want the dude that's like,
he's like he's 6'3", 290. So we don't know if that's like what he is smaller as a Bronco right now.
Yeah,
but he's like on average for a Bronco, essentially.
Yeah, so he is a bigger guy, but a good run stop guy, which is fantastic. But what I really want for my Broncos is to bring in kind of that rushing speed young guy that's like 320, 330.
And he's a UDFA guy, man. It's from 2020, so good for him.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. We got him for peanuts for the last 2 years, and we rewarded his high caliber play with a contract that is more than he has earned thus far. And so a younger dude, a gem, fit this. DZ, you kind of brought this up. The Broncos have found guys that just fit what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
they run a certain thing up there, man.
Yeah.
You've got to
Right.
be of
They
this,
definitely run a certain thing.
and you have to be of a certain body style. Like you look at their offensive line, you look at their D line. None of them are giants. None of them are big heavies. They all have this certain size to them, and it works.
Same with the linebackers.
Well, I was talking primarily trenches, but yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to
No,
work.
I totally agree. I wonder, Richie, you have to look it up and bring it up on the next show. How many guys that are on your roster has started off as UDFAs?
Yeah,
Because
that's
as
something
soon
we're
as
gonna have to find out.
your roster gets filled with UDFAs and perform.
Dondre Tillman, Jaquan McMillan, who's the other one? Oh, UDFA. The other guy, the running back, he's also UDFA. We have
JK
a
or
no.
Bidet?
No, Bidet wasn't. It's the young guy. I'll look it up, but um, there is a number of UDFAs on the Broncos roster, like a number, like not just like one or two. And I don't just mean, hey, there's a couple depth guys. I mean like actual starters right now, like Jaquan McMillan right now as a slot cornerback for my team
Yeah.
is, if he's not retained by the Broncos, which he likely won't be able to be because of his
He's gonna
price
get
tag,
paid a lot.
he gonna get paid.
Yeah, come to the Raiders, get paid.
Just obviously a topic for another show. I want us to tender him as a second round pick. And let's be honest, at the level
Is
he's
he a
playing at right now,
restricted free agent?
he's a
Is he
restricted
restricted?
free agent. But like, okay, you have a starting caliber slot corner right now who's ranked in like the top 4 or 3 in his position.
You guys probably get comp though if you let him go, and then you'll
And-
have Jide Barron fill a spot though.
Mhm.
So there's some front office kind of shenanigans that has to get worked out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, right? Which is that dude is gonna get paid by any team he goes to. And so if
Right.
you're another team, is he not worth a second round pick? He's better than any second rounder you're gonna pick up in the draft. Right?
GMs do love those picks though, but
True.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So, anyways, is what it is. That is a legitimate guy. Like honestly, a legitimate guy for my team. He is a UDFA. Jack, you brought UDFAs up. He is the next iteration, if you will, of a Chris Harris Jr., who we had in the no-fly zone in my Denver Broncos. He's another UDFA. Chris Harris Jr., another guy. Just to throw his name out there, who again was a former Jayhawk, and in addition to that, was a lockdown cornerback at the slot position for a solid 2 to 3 years. Like his stats were unreal, and McMillan is starting to pull off some similar things to Chris Harris Jr. So, anyways, moving onwards and upwards, and we're going to talk about the upcoming games here. And sorry, DZ, I did not see any news for your Chargers this week. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, there's some there was some news. I didn't catch we had a head coach, both coordinator, pressers, but I just caught snippets of it. I didn't actually I was driving, so I couldn't, obviously driving in holiday traffic and trying to listen to things doesn't make any sense. But I want to give a shout out. There's been some Hall of Fame semifinalists. Rodney Harrison, who started out as a San Diego Charger and then finished his career as a New England Patriot. Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees all started out as San Diego Chargers and are all semifinalists for the Hall of Fame. I don't see Rivers getting in this go around, but I do see Brees getting in, and I do see probably Rodney Harrison just due to what he did in the league. And then I think it's hilarious. A lot of Saints fans are like, Chargers fans can't claim Drew Brees. Drew Brees started his career as a Charger, He had a passer rating 84.9 with 12,348 yards and 80 touchdowns in 59 games. So I think we can claim him. I think we can share him. How about that? I think both teams can honor him. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm a big Philip.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we hope.
I love Drew
Love it.
Brees. I thought he was fantastic, and the team obviously took a gamble due to his elbow and went with Philip Rivers. And to this day, Philip Rivers is my favorite quarterback of all time, probably just due to the fact that I was with him from day one, as I was with Drew Brees and Justin Herbert. But he was just, he wore his heart on his sleeve, and just never got there for him. And people say what they want about him, but I think he was a great guy and a great football player. And I don't think he'll get in this round, but, we'll see about the future. And then another shout out I want to give Khalil Mack. He's also nominated for the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award. And, that award is each team, picks a player at the beginning of the season. They want their team to represent. And I can't think of a better player, on the top of my head, that doesn't play the game with the utmost integrity and respect for the game as Khalil Mack does. He was a Raider. He was a Bear. The guy just, breathes football, and he's on and off the field. He's a great guy. And so, best of luck to him on that award. And then,
and those who don't remember Khalil Mack, it's like he's kind of like a Max Crosby guy. He puts the work in, and he lives and breathes football. So I hope he gets it. I'm rooting for him.
If you guys don't remember, earlier in the season, I can't remember off the top of my head what game it happened in, but he had his elbow
jump on the show.
He had his elbow what is this?
I love it. That's hilarious.
We need a Chiefs person.
Yeah. But anyways, Khalil Mack had his elbow. If this would have happened to anybody else, I mean, there's only probably 1% of guys in the league this could have happened to. And he bounced back within 4 weeks, and he was back to playing. His elbow went the opposite direction, trying to tackle somebody with his arm. And the guy's got Wolverine blood. He's just from a different generation. There's players that, aren't each of our teams that you just look at them and you're like, dude, you're playing in the wrong era, man. You should have been playing like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And to me, that's Khalil Mack. That's like Derwin James. There's these guys that just are built for what we grew up, that game that we loved, and now we're playing in a different, faster, more finesse game, let's just say. Anyways, and then I was kind of shocked. I told you before the show I was busy. I'm driving home, unloading the truck, had to head back out. So I'm throughout stops, I'm checking X and Twitter, whatever. And I saw our injury report heading into this week. And I'm like, holy crap. It was 3 guys, and 2 of them, both their windows got open for the 21-day coming off IR. And that's Omarion Hampton, the running back, and Otito Ogbonnia. Well, no, Otito Ogbonnia, I don't think his window was open, but he is practicing. And then another guy, our receiver, Trey Harris, had a jaw injury. I'm like, I don't know where that came from. Did he get, was it a rough bye week for him?
He went to the bar.
Yeah, something. But the Omarion Hampton, this was a Commanders game. He went out for a swing pass, turned around, was waiting for the ball, and a Commanders, I don't know if it was a linebacker or a DB, clipped him right on that ankle, that inside ankle. And, these guys wear these low top, whatever, cleats or something, whatever. And it looked painful. So he went out of the game, and we're like, oh, it's probably a sprain. Well, come to find out, fast forward all these weeks later, it was indeed an actual fracture. So he did fracture his ankle. But then again, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm understanding is that is actually probably the best case scenario opposed to a soft tissue injury for him. So if he just needed that bone to heal up and they just like, all right, man, like keep you in a boot for weeks or on end, and then, we'll ramp you up. So I don't know if he's playing against the Raiders this week. And if he does, I'd probably think he'd be on a snap count against the Raiders, but this team desperately needs the run game back because they got to combat from defensive linemen teeing off and humping Herbert up and down the field. But yeah,
like a dog on a leg, right?
Pretty much, man. It was pretty bad. I hope this team, obviously during the bye week there wasn't much news. You saw some of the players like wherever they went on vacation or they went on little mini vacations, just like I did. I think I needed one after that last game, but you would hope that these guys take some pride after getting embarrassed like they did in Jacksonville. So there was a lot of self-reflecting going on. I heard that from Jim. I heard that from the OC, Greg, who I'm not a fan of, and I think he should go the route that Chip Kelly did and get his ass out of LA, but that's here nor there right now. And so we'll see, but as of news, that's about all the news there is. Looks like they did some they showed some offensive line kind of stuff this last practice, which is going to make some fans happy. Is at left tackle they put Sawyer out there, and Sawyer years ago played left tackle. Yeah, he's our swing lineman. He played left tackle when Slater got hurt with I think it was a pec, kind of similar, or a bicep, one of the two, a few years ago, and he did decent at left tackle. And to be honest with you guys, he can't be any worse than Turnstile, Deculus, or Penning's debut. I mean, Penning's debut against the Jags was just like, it was like a horror. It's like one of those B-rated horror movies. You're just like, oh my God, this is horror. This is bad. So it was Sawyer, who a lot of fans would like, Zion, Bozeman, and then Becton, whatever. They're just getting their money's worth at this point. And then Pipkins, who going against Max, he's probably the only guy that we have to go against Max that can kind of deal with one-on-ones if he's healthy. If we put Hart out there, Hart kind of needs, help with chipping and such. So we'll see. There's still a couple more practice to get into before the game against the Raiders.
Hey, DZ, again, I saw Hampton coming back, and I'm like, oh, no, dude, I don't want to see Hampton. That guy's a beast. So do you think he's actually going to get some burn, or he's just going to be on the kind of the roster this week, so getting back into game shape? And
a guy in my private chat, in my Chargers chat, actually ran into him at the airport in Raleigh. So he went back for the UNC game, and Hampton this is the second time. There was another fan that I don't follow that said he saw Hampton out and about in public and was like, hey, dude, we miss you. And he's like, dude, I'll be back. I'm, ready to rock. And then the guy in my chat said the same thing. And Hampton's like, I'm ready to go after the bye. So he thinks he's ready to go. But the way our team has done it with players, it's this abundance of caution. That's kind of their approach with these guys. And there's only one player that they rushed back, and that was Penning, because they need. I mean, not Penning. Joe Alt. I should never mix the two up.
Joe Alt.
One of them is good for the year.
One of them is good. One of them is not.
Right. And, right. Actually, with Penning, because Penning does have guard experience, I would love to see him take Becton's spot. I would like. If Becton does his BS coming in and out of games, and he just looks like this big, fat, lazy lump on a log, dude, put Penning's mauler ass out there, man.
They actually could be looking at that stuff, and that could very well be a bye week thing that you guys tested out as well. Like you may not have heard about it. You know what I mean? Like they could have done it and just never made it to like the press or things of that nature. Because I suspect, because you have a savvy head coach, like let's just call it duck a duck, right?
I mean, I am like, yes and no.
Dude, you got a great head coach. Can we trade?
No, but the point, but the point here is that your coach is going to know enough to share enough that like what you're talking about now is to be expected, right? Guys that have already played that position, so he's going to tip that part of his hand. But I could have seen him as part of your bye week kind of prep and your rotation, moving Penning into that guard spot instead of Becton.
I mean, something
It's not gonna hurt.
they've got to figure something out because
Yeah.
they're going to get. I mean, they've been playing with fire essentially. They're
Yeah.
literally every game playing with gasoline and matches.
Yeah.
You know, it's the very definition of insanity. You know, they're going to get Justin Herbert killed if they can't figure this out. And then another thing about Hampton coming back is they need that run game back. I mean, Vidal, he does great against bad rush defenses, but you know, we'll see. This is a division game, and I know we'll do all our score predictions and such.
Yep.
But
Jack, you asked me a question on my Broncos, and I can give you a quick rundown very quickly before we get into the back and forth on the Raiders Chargers.
Yeah,
game
please. I'm curious because you guys get so many UDFAs.
So look, I understand that this is a very envious position to be in. Okay, totally follow. You wanted to know on my current roster, and I'm going to give you just a couple fringe guys as well, just so that you're aware. Current 2025 UDFAs, Broncos roster, who are they? Playing, like right now, current. Number 1, Jaleel McLaughlin, UDFA running back. He's the speed guy that was benched for a lot of the games and is now back playing as a result of KJ being out.
JK.
Okay. Or sorry, JK. Sorry, JK being out. Jaleel McLaughlin is that speed guy. He's kind of limited in what he can do. He's not great in pass pro, but he's really good at that kind of like quick one cut style run, which is kind of desirable, but he's a little bit narrowed in some of the other things that he can do. He can pass catch as well, but his real thing is those like quick one cuts and that speed type running. And he is tough. He's tough as nails. So, I mean, no complaints. He's also a Sean Payton guy, which is why he's still on the roster. Number 2, Jaquan McMillan. Just talked about him earlier. Like he was like, let's put it this way. We drafted Jahdae Barron to replace Jaquan McMillan. Jaquan McMillan played so well in preseason and so well in all of training camp that they could not cut him. It was not in our interest to cut him because he was playing better than the rookie. And he's now basically on track to get paid big time in the offseason.
And to add on to that, McMillan last game had 2 sacks and 1 INT.
Yes. So, a real slouch on the team. I mean, come on, man, pick it up.
Right. Yes. Put your work in, kid.
Yeah. Come on. Nate Adkins, my favorite tight end on the roster, actually. He reminds me a lot of the other tight ends that I've been a big fan of over the course of the show. He's that fullback, pass catching kind of completely. He's a complete tight end. He's not just like the one trick pass catch tight end kind of one trick pony. He's got all of those elements. Pass pro, fullback. He's got it all. He's my favorite tight end on the roster. Fits very well into a Sean Payton system, who likes to put tight ends in the same positions on the offensive line, but then have them run different plays from that position on the field. Another one, Alex Pelcho, UDFA, starting guard right now for my Denver Broncos. And frankly, I think that might be his position moving forward on my Denver Broncos. He is that good. So again, as a UDFA, he is a right tackle, starting caliber, right tackle. Remember, he filled in at right tackle for McGlinchey for half of last year. And so that's that. We got Frank Crum. He's the dude that looks like a Viking. He's got like bleach blonde hair that's kind of curly that you saw come on field a few times. You see him on the sideline. The guy just looks like like just a mammoth human being. Like you'd walk up to him, he just kind of like crush your head. Uh, he is as big as he looks. He's like
He looks like he should have
6'7".
been like in an '80s action movie or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's the Russian villain, right? Like the dude that the
Oh,
guy
big
goes up
bomb.
against. Yeah, he's like, "Urgh." That he's that guy. He is the project swing tackle for the team, and potentially even a guy that they are seemingly grooming to try to take over for McGlinchey. And he is rotated in and out of the lineup now, coming in fits and spurts, playing that right tackle and left tackle spot for my Denver Broncos. He is insanely athletic and a just enormous human being, just like insanely large and very, very strong. He's the dude that's got the run blocking, but not the pass pro. And so that's the right type of lineman that I like on my roster. He's the guy that you want to coach up in order to get those things. Then we're going to go through these next few pretty quickly. Adam Prentice, fullback. We all know my feelings on him. He's the guy I wanted from the beginning. Little Jordan Humphrey, back on the roster. We signed him last week. We got PJ Locke, another guy, which you're familiar. Alex Singleton, goes without saying, my feelings on Singleton. And then just a couple other honorable mentions here.
And he should be playing this week, right?
He's going to be playing this week. That's right. And then we got Corinne Reed, the linebacker. You remember how I was talking about the inside linebacker spot in the offseason? We had two dudes. Corinne Reed did, in fact, make the final roster, by the way. He is hurt, although I think he will be back at some point this season. And then Johnny Walker Jr. is an outside linebacker who is looking an awful lot like he's going to be another Jonathan Cooper.
Wow, that's 10 UDFAs. That's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
You got to look it up after the show. What is the most UDFAs on a single team in the NFL that's on the roster? It's like that's got to be number one.
This seems abnormal, kind of.
So right. Jaleel, Jaquan, Nate, Alex, Frank, Adam, Lil Jordan, PJ, and Alex. Those are all majority starters on the Broncos.
Right.
Like
contributors on that 53, yeah.
Yeah, like majority starters.
It's a wild. That is wild. That's why I had to ask that question, because it seems like from being on this show, every time Richie's talking about a UDFA, and I'm like, it got me thinking. It's like, dude, this is a UDFA. That's a UDFA. This guy's a UDFA.
And
wow.
And not to rub salt in the wound in terms of value that my team has been able to acquire, but Jonathan Cooper was a 7th round pick.
All right, we're not talking about that.
So, anyways, that's that. So, with regards to your teams there, it's obviously a divisional game. Jack, we've heard DZ talk about his Chargers. Like your take on your Raiders here. I just have to quickly step out just for 1 minute, and I'll be right back. Curious as to your thoughts, and then we will give our score predictions for the division rival game, Chargers versus Raiders. And for those Kansas City fans in the chat, Iron, Zigzag, a few others, we will be delving in very briefly as a quick skim over of the KC game after we hear from DZ and Jack in their score predictions.
Yeah, I will say this. You posted a comment. How do you feel about the Chiefs anyway? You all get nervous yet? And sorry, I'm losing my voice. We all still play one more time. I'm not nervous at all because I don't expect the Raiders to win. And if they win in the long haul, it's only going to hurt my team. So I'm not worried about it at all. How about you, DZ? How nervous are you with the Chargers? I mean, not the Chargers, but the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wait, we're talking about the Chiefs right now?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to answer this question. Richie put it up.
Like,
we never answered it, and I like answering the chat. So,
I mean, I'm kind like low key kind of nervous because I mean, it's in their foundation of winning. Like, they used to sandbag to get into the playoffs, and then they just came out and they look like a different animal. And they've kind of like sandbagged this season, not on purpose, but just because of how good everybody else was, and how they were waiting for their team to kind of get going. They had to get back. I think it was Worthy and Rice or whatever. Like they were out for a while. But now that some teams have kind of dropped, and there's a lot of fluidity in the AFC, like they're probably seizing something. They can probably jump up. And did I want them to win last week? No. Did they? Yes. They've got a really good matchup this week against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, defensive line is a lot better than it was, earlier in the season, but their secondary is still trash. So it should be an interesting matchup. But am I nervous? Yeah, of course. And I'll say I'm nervous because I'm a Chargers fan, and I know what our issues are. I know what our weaknesses are. Lack of creativity on the offense. The worst offensive line in football right now.
No, right here.
And they've got some monster defensive lines to go against, these last 6 games. So it's going to be a challenge.
They're coming up behind you.
Yeah, they're right there, nipping on the heels. So we've got to keep pace, and we've got a division game against the Raiders. Raiders are coming into SoFi. I was kind of surprised by the spread on this game, because division games are rarely blowouts, except for the Super Bowl that your fans celebrate that got us Jim Harbaugh and got us Ortiz. But
hey, playing you was not a Super Bowl with that 63 to whatever it was win.
I mean,
that got your coach fired. So thank the Raiders for that.
For the Chargers.
Zigzag, I don't think they're washed up. I said it's built in their
for the
foundation.
Chargers,
they know how to win. I just think that there are some better, skill-wise AFC teams out there. Like I said, I'm nervous about them. Yeah, they're right on us, and I could see us missing the playoffs, and I can see the Chiefs getting right in there. But yeah, 9.5 point to 10 point spread Chargers for the Raider game. And, after the performance the Chargers put up in Jacksonville, and then, this being a division game, I still think this is going to be somewhat close of a game. I can see, they're going to have to emphasize stopping the run from you guys, make Geno throw, if that is who's, throwing. And wherever Max is at, double him, triple him all game long if you can. But yeah, man. As for score, I don't know. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I say 24-13.
For who?
Chargers.
I just had to ask that. Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I mean, you just hope, as a fan that, that taste that's left in their mouth, that it wasn't bad turkey, that was from Jacksonville, pissed them off. They're 7-4. They see the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now in their rearview mirror. They see that red glow right behind them. That they've got to take these wins when they can. What's up, guys?
Good to see you guys in.
Yes, hang on. I mean, Super Chargers pod. I agree, man. It's if it's not Minter getting outdone by a really good OC, it's the offense just being a complete train wreck and Justin having to put on a cape. And it's just bad. But I think they'll be ready. This is the healthiest, like I said, Jack, that I've seen them. Minus all obviously this whole season. If they're not pumped up wearing my favorite uniforms, then they shouldn't be playing the game, to be honest.
Dude, as long as they don't wear the banana uniforms, I mean.
Oh, those have to be retired. Those should be.
Oh my God.
One and done.
I mean, it looks like somebody peed all over the jersey.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Would you support a burning ceremony in the middle of the field?
Oh, 1,000%. I will bring the gasoline, man. I'll bring the matches.
I mean, the Chargers have one of the best looking jerseys in the NFL with those powder blues, but that all yellow banana looking jersey.
The jerseys we're wearing against you guys this week, that's my favorite uniform combo of all time.
What's that going to be looking like?
We wore it earlier this season. I cannot remember which game we did. Any Superchargers pod, who did we wear the all navies against this season? They updated the navies this year and they look way better than the previous ones. And that's my favorite. It's kind of like an homage to San Diego, and it's kind of like the Vikings game. Thanks, man. Yeah, I love them. They're the best in my opinion.
So yeah, I saw those. I mean, obviously as a Chargers fan, that's your deal, that's your team. I will say, from a color thing, that powder blue, like that powder blue logo, that powder blue uniform, it's kind of hard to argue against it. That's a slick color. Like that's a slick color. That's literally what sets you apart.
Well,
is the powder blue,
and when they debuted,
it's the second best looking jersey in the NFL.
When they debuted that, for LA, when they redid that whole thing, it was like to perfection. But as a fan, I don't rock baby blue or powder blue or Italian blue. That's not what I wear on a day-to-day basis. I like dark colors. I like dark navy, black, things like that. So you're not going to catch me wearing, unless it's a game day, powder blue hoodie or something. That's just not me personally. I know there's other fans that are pretty bold. I mean, I've seen guys wearing the bright yellow shirts and t-shirts. I'm like, that's just not my vibe, man. But it is what it is, man. They're great too.
Yeah. So, this is going to be a really interesting game, in my opinion. I think that one way or another, I think the game's going to be decisive. But I think that going into the game, we don't know which direction it's going to be decisive.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, like, as an example, I do think that the Raiders are in better shape when it comes to the defensive line compared to your current offensive line.
Yeah.
Unless the changes that you've made, as you mentioned earlier.
I mean, Max Crosby's knee is banged up right now, so that's a plus. That's a plus.
He's playing.
We'll get him on 1.5 legs. It's still going to wreck shop.
Yeah, he can be on like a half a leg and he'll still want to play.
Yeah. He's your guys' Mac, right? He's like
he is. Well,
he reminds me of the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
He reminds me of the guy
he's
you guys
hopping on one leg
and then traded away.
I will say this with Max and Mac. When John Gruden came in, if he could have worked it out with Mac, then I would have had Khalil Mack and Max Crosby on either side. Oh my God, that would have been devastating.
That would have been
that would have been something fun, really fun to watch. That would have been like Greg Townsend, who leads the Raiders in sacks with over 100, and Howie Long, I think he's over like 75. That back to the 83 team.
How's Kuntz been though on the other side of Mac?
Oh, he's garbage.
Oh, shit.
He's gone.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. But Jack, my question for you on that is, as fans and sometimes as fanalists, we like to kind of
dream
these whataboutisms, right?
Yep.
And the one question I always like to kind of push back on, or the one comment I like to push back on, is the what ifs in that regard. I'm not convinced that Max would have risen to the level that he's at right now if he didn't need to. And what I mean by that is,
I see that.
What I mean by that is, he knew that he had it in him to get to the level where he's at right now. But if he had a guy like Mac on the other side, he may not have needed to put in the same work that he has done in his game today. And I'm not saying he would have been bad. I'm just saying, would he have been the guy that he is today? Like, he is a force, like an absolute wrecking ball.
I mean, but what we see though, when Khalil Mack got hurt, Thule, our young guy, right? He got double teamed and his production kind of dipped a little bit from when Mac is on the field. So for like what we're seeing with Max Crosby, teams are just keen on him. They're doing whatever they can. They got 2 guys on him. They're chipping. They're doing everything they can to slow him down because they're not worried about the other side. So it's like there's that. To me, that feels like a double-edged sword. But I see what you're saying. It's like he created this hunger and this motivation to be great and to be better.
And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say, I respect the point, but I'm going to disagree with that point because the simple fact that Max had nobody to teach him.
To lean
he
on.
just does it off drive and hunger. So if you could have had a Khalil Mack on that team to learn the moves that he's done over the years and to teach Max that, how much better would Max would have been right now? So I feel that it's the opposite because Max drives himself. Nobody drives Max. Max drives other people.
Jack, you just said something that that is so true and that I really like. We have Khalil Mack and he's only on a 1-year deal. We brought him back for, I think it was like 18 million or something, right?
Yeah.
And we're even like, man, bring him back next year if we can, right?
Right.
Like if he wants to. And then they brought Keenan Allen back on a 1-year deal.
Bring him back too.
Yeah, that's like, I'm like, you could welcome back. You come back as well. And the value that these guys have can't go, what's that word? Can't go overlooked.
You can't go wrong. The wisdom's there. The experience is there.
We have so much youth. We have Ladd who's watching Keenan's routes. Keenan, Devontae Adams, throwing a couple guys in there. Some of the best route runners in the league right now. And then Khalil Mack, one of the top edge rushers of his generation, probably not like that on, that tier with, Myles Garrett and Will Anderson and Benito. But
he's got a gold jacket coming. So
what he's sharing to the guys next to him, that's just valuable stuff.
I agree.
Well, and it even goes back even further. Like Richie, I'm drawing a mental blank. Help me out. Your defense. Oh, Von Miller. And then Von Miller would do the defensive end camp. And no.
Von Miller is a special dude. No.
Well, he is special. But I'm just saying to learn from guys like that, it's priceless. So when Von Miller used to do his defensive end camps,
hold on. But you got to stop on that though. Like Von Miller's going to say, okay, so young guy, the only thing you need to do is bend at a 90-degree angle to the ground and run at full speed. Now go. And the guy's like,
I mean, there's different styles.
You're not getting my point. You're not getting my point that DZ brought up is the way of learning from these players. So Von Miller, if you remember, he used to do his defensive end camps. And so guys like Khalil Mack and Max Crosby and others would go to these camps and they would learn from each other. So that's the whole thing, to have somebody teach you, the fine art of your position, to have that experience of a Khalil Mack, who I respect the world out of, and he will be wearing a gold jacket one day too, like Von Miller will be wearing a gold jacket. Max Crosby will be wearing a gold jacket. But, to get that experience for, Max, he didn't have Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So he did it all on his own. There was nobody else there. So, yes, that's why I disagreed with what you said. He didn't have to he pushed himself, but he didn't have that guy in front of him to teach him, which that missed out on valuable experience.
He did attend the pass rush camp with Von Miller.
Well, right, but he's not on your team for the whole season.
And others like him. Sean McKay is another guy as well. He was on the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the guy I'm remembering right. Maybe I'm wrong. But like my point, Jack, is like Max Crosby did have some mentors and coaches as he spanned out to actually like lean on other guys like Von Miller, like DeMarcus Ware, like other folks that were at Khalil Mack, other guys he reached out to even though they were gone. He did draw information from them. My only point though is that there's certain guys that are in the league. Like here's an example, right? Like Nick Benito goes to a guy and says, all right, well, all you need to do is get off the line of scrimmage in 1.6 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
then,
different.
but Jack, this is my point though, right? It's like the answer that most people have is like, no.
Yeah.
like
Their
no.
bodies aren't designed to move that quick, And you just have to have
No.
special.
Hey, well, supercharged spot.
And
I like what you said. There you go, brother. Love it.
I mean, look, let's put it this way, Jack, your point is well taken. Okay, like I totally understand with what you're saying. If you had Max and
Mac,
if you had Max and if you had Max and Khalil Mack on either side of each other, and they both ended up where they're at today in terms of their like career trajectories, yeah, your team would have been like freaky scary, right? In terms of the pass rush, because both of those guys are all
didn't
world.
kiss Gino and
yeah, exactly. So again, like that would have been super duper scary. I completely agree with you. But the point is that sometimes a guy like Max Crosby needs to be able to spread his wings and be the guy in order to be the guy, if you know what I mean, right? Like some guys are natural born leaders, and when they're paired with somebody else who has already established himself on the team, sometimes they never quite reach their full potential as a result of that scenario. And that is also a potential that could have happened.
I had a coach who would call that you're playing your junior game. Like he'd always say that, like, he's like, he's like, there is no tomorrow. Next year's not guaranteed. You can't just skate through this season and think that you're going to be great next season. So you're playing the junior game essentially. And that's what I think Richie's kind of alluding to, that, who knows if he would have had that guy, he probably wouldn't have become the Condor, what he is today. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't have had that hunger or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I like your takes, guys, but I would say I agree to disagree. I just think, Max doesn't need that. He does it on his own. He's one of a kind like that in the entire NFL. And I will say this, with the game coming up, oh, brother, here's something. Again, I usually say, AFC West, divisional games are close. But I did look up one thing. Ever since Harbaugh has been with the Chargers, if I read it correctly, they have not lost. They've won by 14 or more points every game. Yeah. And I think this Raiders team is playing some of the worst football. As a person that's been watching these guys from the mid 70s that I've ever seen. And I don't see it close. I really don't. And I think the Chargers, again, this is part of the reason why I brought it up, DZ.
Jack, you guys have wrinkles, though. New OC, right? Who likes to lean on the run game.
Well, I said a new OC, but he's old OC, and I've seen what he's done in the past, and it's not very impressive either. That's why he's had 2 stints with the Raiders as an OC. One of them, he wasn't even the OC. That's when John Gruden was the OC. He was labeled offensive coordinator, but John Gruden called all the plays. Correct. So he just gave him advice, is what he did.
Okay.
And with again, Hampton coming back, that's why I asked, hey, if he's really going to be playing, he's not going to be playing. And I actually put this in before the show, in the way of the score. And since, with Harbaugh, and again, DZ, this is why I brought this up before we talk about KC. How do you feel with the fire, them breathing down your necks? That's going to put your pressure on your team to even play better, to get this win, to make sure you stay ahead of Kansas City. So you called it 24 or 13 Raiders, 24 Chargers. I have it the exact same score for the Raiders at 13 points, but I'm going to give the Chargers 3 more points. So I got it 13-27 going Chargers.
Okay.
DZ, I'll have you give your score here to the
you already did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
20,
okay.
24-13.
So I'm going to revise my score up. Actually, I'm going to give just a tick up on the Chargers score that I have. I had 19-17 originally, but I think this might be a 21-point game for the Chargers, just because I think I have to give a little bit more credit to Herbert. Just because he has shown that he's been able to do some things like just on his own. This year, like he's had games where he has DZ, you've kind of mentioned it multiple shows now, where he's just like thrown the team on his back and said, let's go. And I think that needs to be at least acknowledged in the fact that he's
hope
done
that that's
some
not
things.
this isn't the type of the game they do that. They really need to be balanced, but if they can't be balanced,
I'm not saying you want to be. I'm just saying I
Right.
think it's possible, and I think that is the outcome. So I'm not saying that you want that. Not at all, actually. You actually don't want that at all, ever.
No.
But I just think that with this team, you're a division rival, division game, likely going to be a tight one. Raiders defense is going to come out and be angry.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
I really like the way this Raiders defense has been playing, and their freaking offense has been hanging them out to dry, essentially,
Correct.
damn near almost this whole season. So,
Yeah.
I could see it being pretty damn close until I would say maybe late in the game when they're just too gassed, because I don't think we have the D line, on the same level as Cleveland Browns do with Myles Garrett, but we do have three capable pass rushers, and and Mack and Thule and Owe. So I think they're going to just go after Geno every chance they can get and try to stop the run as well. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and say this is going to be a 21-17 Chargers victory. But it is going to be that divisional slugfest style game where it's going to be a mistake made here, a mistake made there, a guy making a great play, a defensive guy, maybe turning the ball over, because of a good tackle or whatever. I think it's going to be that style of game, like Chargers, Raiders, any division game within the AFC West is got some variation of that. Generally,
they've all
speaking.
been pretty damn close.
Yeah,
I think even this season too.
And on a sidebar note, again, DZ, I know you remember this. Again, we talked about Khalil when he also had those 6 sacks. And I think he had 16 sacks or 17 sacks for the season. 6 of them were in one game. I think he's going to get 2.5 sacks this game.
That was 6 one was against Derek Carr, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the defense I think we're 8th in sacks right now or something like that. I'm not sure.
So that's where I have the team. So between us here, I think we all have the Chargers winning, do we not?
We should be 11.
Yep.
Oh, this guy must be a Broncos fan.
He's a Broncos fan. I've
heard. Yeah, but a penalty. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, I've heard similar takes to that, and in some regards I agree, in some regards I disagree. But yes, yeah, and we have Sharif coming in here. Thank you, my man.
Hey,
LA will
Sharif?
crush Raiders, unfortunately.
24.
And
right, Sharif, I agree.
Yeah. So
Sharif, put your score in the chat. I'm curious.
Yeah, let's get the Raiders and Chargers fans putting their score predictions in the chat. We're gonna quickly start touching on the next game here, and that'll be the Chiefs.
Hammond's high is about
Cowboys. So let's go ahead and talk about the Chiefs real quick as they play the Cowboys. I don't think we really need to get into it too heavy here.
Hey, we're looking back on the path on that one, 63-10.
Moval.
I love the fact that Moval remembers.
They won't let it go.
Yeah, they won't let that go.
Hey, don't ever let it go.
No. So let's quickly go down to our scores on the Chiefs game. Some of us have put it already in the chat. Jack, do you want to go first for KC, and then we'll give DZ some time. I'll go second. We'll let DZ go third.
Yeah, you got it. So again, it's KC versus Dallas.
Correct.
the way they got the prediction going, it's going to be a high scoring game. Like the odds are 51.5 points, and KC is a 3.5 point favorite. So I've been kind of saying this, right now, KC's back is up against the wall.
What was this? 1.5 point?
51.5 points for the over under.
What was this? What was the favorite?
Oh, KC's a 3.5 point, favorite.
Field goal favorite. Field goal favorite.
Oh, road dog favorite. Okay.
And so the way, again, I look at it, and I said this last week, and again, I'm going to keep saying this. They've been winning this division for 9 years. They've been to some Super Bowls. I feel like, again, they're feeling the pressure. Their backs are up against the wall. And what Dallas is good at now, because of the trades that they've made, they're much better against the run. Well, KC's not a big running team. They're a pass-throwing team. Dallas is not the greatest against the pass. So I see, Patrick Mahomes carving up this defense. And I can't say the same thing, for Dallas's quarterback. Even though they're one of the higher scoring teams, I still like KC's defense. So I have, a close game. I got it at 27-23 that I put in the chat earlier. And I got KC. They're going to put the pressure on you, bro.
You wait, say your score again. This guy says I'm picking my nose. I'm
27-23.
27-23.
KC.
I think you're thinking of Pickens like the wide receiver for Dallas.
The Cowboys-Chiefs game, I've got it being tied up 24-24 going in OT, and I've got the Dem Boys squeaking out a win by a touchdown. I've got the Cowboys winning this game.
What score do you think? It's like 27-23 kind of thing?
No, 30-24. So they score
30-24. Oh, it's like a touchdown. Okay.
But I got it going into OT.
Okay.
Overtime.
Okay. So
I'm just putting some spicy in there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Put that a bet on Vegas. You can make some good money if you hit that.
Dude, if you get that as your end score, you would friggin' kill it, because that would be a rare air pick, right? Like in terms of getting to that point. We seem to have similar scores. So I have 23-21 Chiefs. I think that this is going to be a very close game. I think that Mahomes is going to struggle. And I think part of the reason for that is the defensive additions of the Cowboys. A lot of people keep on forgetting what they've done on the interior of the defensive line on the Cowboys. They have added players during ahead of that trade deadline, and they have bolstered.
And Williams, I believe.
Quinnen Williams is the main guy, right?
Yeah.
And
gave up a first and a second round pick in 2027.
But that guy's freaky good. Like he is
freaky good.
Yeah, he is freaky good. And so when you look at what Quinnen Williams can do and how he can, go about things and all that kind of stuff, he really does, wreak havoc on the interior there. And he's been on a bad team. And so the Cowboys have the opportunity here to kind of rebuild the defensive side of the ball while keeping a reasonable offensive side of the ball. And I think we're starting to see a bit of what that can look like. We've seen some games now where the interior has played well, or at least way better. Well, maybe not so much, but better.
Well,
and so,
Richie, what you just said, that is going to be one of the funnest matchups to watch is, Quentin Williams against Creed Humphreys, two all pros going, locking horns, and let's see what they do.
I think one of their Chiefs linemen, he's dealing with both a low and high ankle sprain right now. I think that's a rookie. But,
yes.
I didn't realize this is one of the Thanksgiving games.
Yes, it is.
We are spoiled on Thursday. We've got Green Bay. We got Green Bay, Detroit, KC, Dallas, and then for dessert, Cincinnati and Baltimore. That's a pretty good spread of games for Thursday.
Good lineup.
Yep. So shout out to Houday Baby from the Bengals, fan of the show. Been on the show multiple times, touting his Bengals. You know him from draft day. He's the guy with the big hat. really cool guy, really nice guy. Always been great to the show here, coming on, giving his take for the Bengals. So that will be a good game, DZ. In fact, the Bengals Ravens there.
Yeah, is that do we know if Burrow's playing, or is that I'm not sure.
He said he's coming back.
But the question
Now,
is, who's playing?
Yeah,
sorry,
So
okay.
I
he
hope he
said
answers
he's
that question.
coming back. That doesn't mean he's playing. He said he's coming back. He didn't, and he's basically saying if I can actually get my rear end on the field, I'm playing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the coach is going to agree with him. So we'll see what happens there. But my score prediction for the KC game, just to kind of reiterate, I see this as a 23-21 Chiefs victory. This is that like last minute field goal type thing. So you had it as a tie game, DZ. Let's just say that I am basically right there with you. I just think that Mahomes still has that clutch style gene in him, and it's pretty hard to completely discount that.
Let's just say
So
this is what I'm hoping would happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but I see I'm reading the chat. I think everybody's, assuming the Chiefs are just going to squeak this one out. But look, I'm not saying I like the Cowboys. I love their duo. I think their rushing game is decent. It's not horrible. Dak's okay. He's not bad. So I think this will be a fun matchup. It'll be fireworks, I think, in at Jerry's World.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing to keep in mind here as well, just real quick, is if the defense was better for the Cowboys,
secondary especially,
secondary especially, I think this would be a Cowboys, like they would wipe the floor with the Chiefs. However, the secondary of the Cowboys is not great.
No.
And as a result of that, despite the interior of the Cowboys being better, it's going to be very hard to overcome Pat Mahomes. I'm sorry. It's just, it's just a fact. However, for this comment here, you do need to remember the Chiefs they do play us as in the collective division one more time. And so they have to go through the Broncos defense again. And they have to go through the Raiders and the Chargers again. And that's going to be a slugfest for them.
Yep.
So moving on to the next game and the last game in the divisional show here to round everything out. We have Broncos Commanders. Just for the record, guys, I did bring on, or I did reach out to Corey. He's on the Warpath, one of the largest Commanders podcasts on the internet.
I remember
Corey and I have known each other for a long time, good friends. He reached out. If we can just wish Corey and his family a happy Thanksgiving. Young family, just had their first child. This is going to be the first foray in Thanksgiving with the newborn. So Corey, if you catch this after the fact,
happy Thanksgiving, Corey.
Happy Thanksgiving, man. Your family, all that kind of stuff. Just wishing you nothing but the best, except for your team in this upcoming game. So,
dude, this ticks me off. I swear, everybody in our division is playing the Commanders now that they're beat up and Jaden Daniels isn't playing. But when we played them, it was like everything was going right.
Oh, dude, what are you talking about, dude? They crushed the Raiders, and they were beat up. The Raiders are the one that I think that they hurt their quarterback, during the game to help everybody else out. And we got smoked by double-digit points.
I feel like when we played them, it was like everything was going great for them. And I'm watching who the Broncos get to play right now. I'm like, oh, give me a break. But it is in right, like this game is in DC. It is, yes. Okay.
Yep. So this one here, a lot of other guys on the network here, MHRT, have this being a much closer game than I do. I think that Sean Payton has made some adjustments in the bye week. I think that we are going to be coming out of the gates with a little bit of fire in our belly. And I also think that Bo Nix will have had time to both work with coaches and as well assess what he did well the last two games that he played in, where he showed better pocket presence and better footwork than he has so far this season. He really, really needed to work on that pocket presence, footwork, climbing the pocket, understanding where protections were, where he had gaps to kind of move up into in the pocket and not rush out too early. We had those conversations on the podcast even where Bo Nix was, seeing ghosts and scrambling outside the pocket when he had no business doing so. He stopped doing that the last 2 games, and the Broncos looked a lot more poised on the offensive side of the ball as a result of that. So credit where credit is due as it pertains to Bo Nix, the Broncos offense. And then I also think that in spite of, because that's really what the real answer or the real comment is here, in spite of the Broncos bolstering of Bo Nix's play, there were some other elements that weren't necessarily gelling in the right way, and I think we're going to get some of those players back, either back on offense or at least a cohesive set of practices to improve the unit that we have there to actually put out a better offense on the field. With that in mind, my Denver Broncos score for the Commanders Broncos, and this is Broncos in Washington. I have the Broncos winning 35-15.
Ooh.
I think that, and just for the record, because I want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases as I predict the score for my Broncos. I believe that a portion of that score will come from the Broncos defense. I believe that the Broncos defense will.
So how many points are you going to say your Broncos defense is going to score?
I'll give them. I'll give them a. I'm going to give them a combo platter here. So I'm going to give the Broncos defense a pick 6, but I'm also going to give them an uncharacteristic stop of some sort that gives the Broncos favorable field position that then leads to another Broncos score.
I wonder if Terry comes back for this game. He hasn't played the whole season, so I don't know.
I guess what my point is with that one, DZ, is like the Broncos secondary is likely getting Surtain back either this game or darn near it.
Yeah.
And the guys on the secondary will be fired up with that kind of news where like we need to do this for Pat to get us like he's a leader on the team and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like the Broncos secondary, even without Pat Surtain, has done like an unbelievable job in these last few games. And I see that continuing. So I think that the Broncos defense is going to basically have a pick 6, and I think there's going to be a favorable turnover of some kind. So that's either going to be a 4th down stop that then results in points, or a forced fumble that then leads to favorable field position, which then leads to points. And I think that that's kind of going to be a deciding factor in this game for the score that we're going to see.
So if this weather prediction is true, it should be a cold and rainy game.
Oh,
and
okay.
If that happens, what you just said is not happening at all. I think this will be way close. What your Bronco cohorts said, I've got it. Broncos squeaking this out because look, this is prime time. It is in their house.
It's Sunday night, right? Like the Sunday night football.
Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I think personally Sunday night football is my favorite. I know some people like people love Monday night. I like Sunday night. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I think it is going to be a lower score. I've got the Broncos still taking this, but I got it real close. I got a 24-19. I think there's some teams that match up. There's a lot of vets that are still on the Commanders, especially on the defensive side of the ball, who are going to be pretty amped up to play. Obviously, their season is not going the way we all thought. I mean, your buddy who we had on here, man, I mean, he was right. They did beat us, but, he had them, being at the top of the mountain.
I had them there originally as well.
Yeah.
If you remember, I had them being in that upper tier, and that was in large part because of their quarterback, right? Like
Yeah, you got
that
a
was
lot
the
of
Jaden.
injuries.
Yeah. So, but Jaden Daniels actually was a guy who, even when he's been healthy this season, has actually had some questionable plays in terms of what he's done and what he hasn't done. Bo Nix has had some questionable plays, but ultimately when it's mattered, like when the clutch plays needed to take
He's shown
place,
up.
Bo Nix has been like, hold my beer, I got this.
Yeah.
Whereas Jaden Daniels has actually struggled in those moments. And I think that shows a certain clutch gene that's critical to being able to win in those really high pressure games like a Super Bowl.
Yep, I got it pretty close. Jack?
All right. So I kind of went up in the chat just because, again, the Chargers and the Raiders are playing to get against each other to read off some of their scores. So Supercharger Pod said 24-21 Chargers.
Pretty close.
Baby, just win. Or it should be just win, baby, which is the better saying. And I saw another one, KC, Fox, I4K, Raiders 24, Chargers 21. And I miss, George Strait says 28-13 Chargers win, but I still love the Raiders. Love it, bro. Keep grinding. So those were some of the chats scores for our big matchup. I did not know. So DZ, you almost made me want to. I see what you're saying in the way your score after saying it's gonna be cold and raining. Anytime there's rain and then you add cold and a late night game, scores get lower.
I'm gonna double check the weather, but as of right now, it's only 30% chance. I mean, so that's not terrible, but it's football weather. I mean, it's gonna be wet. Let's just say that.
Hey, Sharif, we're pretty close.
I'd be wearing shorts.
Yeah, I know you would. You're nuts, dude.
Yeah. Hang on.
Here I am in California. I got a sweat jacket underneath this thick, heavy hunting jacket right now, sitting outside.
So
Sharif,
yeah, it's going to be
28-17. You said, for the Chargers. I'm 27. I'm 27 Chargers, 13 Raiders. But for the Broncos, again, I wasn't counting any weather. I just looked at the spread. The spread's 43.5. Broncos are a 6.5 point favorite. I don't think Washington is the same Washington team like DZ said earlier in the season. I got the Broncos winning by double digits. I got it 27-17. Broncos. That defense is just so good.
Yeah.
Washington, it's like they just don't see. They're definitely not the same team that they were last year. I think Kingsbury is like caught people, by surprise last year, and I think they're kind of figuring them out.
I think they're just too banged up. They're on the offensive side. I mean, Terry's been missing the whole year. They lost Austin Eckler. I think Debo hasn't looked like Debo. Jaden Daniels has been out, so it's just not been good for their offense.
No, it's like they still look like the same team. I mean, they look like the same team early in the season, which I agree with you, DZ, because they put the spanking on my Raiders early in the season, but they're not the same team. Denver's on a roll. Richie? What do you want? What, a 7-game winning streak now?
6, if I'm not mistaken.
6. Yeah, your team's on fire. It's like I even see Bo Nix having a really good game again. So that's why I got it as a higher scoring game over the spread. Yeah, Broncos are going to win this one. I think it's going to be hands down. I don't even think it's going to be. It's not even going to feel like a close game. I just feel like the Broncos are going to lead through pretty much the whole game.
I can see that.
Sorry, 8th. It's 8-game win streak. Sorry.
Okay, I was close. I said 7. No, I was guessing.
Yeah, it's 8 games. Sorry, it's 8-game win streak. Yeah.
You guys got any final words you guys want to say?
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be an interesting week. I think there's going to be a few surprises. So, for example, there's going to be one of us that doesn't do as well as we think we're going to do, or one of us that does better than we think we're going to do. Traditionally on the show, I've been a little bit higher on my Broncos this year than I have generally been. And I actually think that the Chiefs are starting to resurge within our division, which is going to ultimately elevate the play of all of the teams here in the division, which is not a bad thing. But I also think that we can no longer just write the Chiefs off as we were able to do, arguably at the beginning of the season when they were really slumping. Pat Mahomes is still a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback who's got some quirks and issues on the team that they're still working through. And so it's going to be a really, really interesting weekend for everybody. I do hope that we see injury-free football across the division and across the league.
Both, buddy.
Okay, so I hope that we kind of move on from that stuff. And again, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow coming up for all of you folks who are south of the border here. I'm in Canada, so I'm allowed to say that. For all the Americans that are joining us here today and this evening for the show, happy Thanksgiving. Wish you and your families all the best.
Don't drink and drive, people.
Don't drink and drive. There will be checks and stuff in most major areas and whatnot. So please be safe, have fun, have a great time with friends and family. And if you can go ahead and click the like button, it helps us reach a lot more fans just like you. Come and join us next week. Give us those comments, etc., etc. Do you know what? Love my country. But I'm not going to lie. If I were to be made a job offer to move to the States, it would not be a tough thing to say yes to. We'll just put it that way.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, brother.
But anyways, guys, love having you join the show. Like and subscribe.
Thanks for everybody showing up, man. You guys are great.
Exactly.
Good chat.
Yeah.
Emori, especially you, 3978. You were the best, buddy.
Yeah.
Extra thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
Yeah. He's gone, but we got someone worse, my man. Anyways, guys, well, the West Side's the best side. We will go ahead and see you next week. Thanks for doing the pod. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all